What would a love story be like in horse racing? Under the azure sky, two graves tell a love story that transcends class. To understand this love story, we must look at this support card from the game, which on surface is a Nishino flower support card, but with the true main character of seiunsky. Yet behind the love story lies the memory of a person who could never let go. The story began at a special period of time, 1995. Nishiyama Farm. A new owner, Shigeyuki Nishiyama, just took the farm in hand. At the time, Nishiyama Farm was far too large in size, housing around 200 broodmares, facing a serious financial crisis. However, crisis comes along with opportunity. It's also the time when their first G1 champion, Nishino Flower, just retired from the race course. She was their first G1 champion, carrying an elite bloodline that made her a top-tier horse for breeding. To give more context to this period of time, during the 90s, Sunday Silence was introduced to Japan, and it completely transformed the very fabric of Japanese horse breeding, causing the biggest generational shift the sport had ever seen. People soon discovered stallions with American bloodline thrived on Japan's quick, high-speed racing. For decades, the tradition of leaning heavily on European stock suddenly grew old. For the industry expert, this revolution forced them to reform. For example, there was Symbolic stable, once produced legend like Symbolic Rudolph, who suddenly fell hard to compete. So they decided to turn its focus away from Europe and began importing American horses, eventually delivering another legend, Symbolic Chris S. And then there was Nishiyama Farm, where the new owner Shigeyuki Nishiyama, facing such revolution, decided to take drastic action and sell off 250 horses, keeping only the very best horse they got. Among the horses sold off, there was one called Sheriff Star, a stallion introduced from Europe with a disappointing result in stud. Yet one of his foals was left in the farm not because he was outstanding, in fact, it was probably pure coincidence. A trainer once requested to take him in, but that trainer never showed up at the end. So just as the future looked bleak for this horse, a rookie trainer who desperately needed something to begin his career casually took the horse in and described this horse: poor in condition, poor in appearance, poor in bloodline, poor just in every way. And that horse was seiunsky. This was how everything began. In the debut, to everyone's surprise, this hopeless horse stormed ahead with a dominant victory, and in the second race, seiunsky again made a 5-lane victory, about to enter the classic undefeated. However, on the next race, he was beaten by Special Week, sired by Sunday Silence. Yes, seiunsky was born into the first season of umamusume and become a horse girl, but also one of the reasons the anime chose this period of time for its first season was because the amount and depth of the talent this generation had. seiunsky was born into what history would remember as the golden generation. Therefore, in the first leg of the Triple Crown, Satsuki-sho, seiunsky was booked as the second favorite, but compared to Special Week's overwhelming 1.8 odds, seiunsky had a considerable gap, staying at 5.4. Yet against all expectations, once the race began, seiunsky held off the charges of both King Halo and Special Week to claim the first leg of the Triple Crown, delivering his trainer and jockey their very first classic victory. But even after such victory in the Japan Derby, seiunsky was listed only as the third favorite, with Special Week once again on top. This scene was also shown in the anime where seiunsky said, "Even though I won Satsuki-sho, I am still not a fan favorite. If I surprise you again, will I be the favorite next time?" But most importantly, this is Tokyo race course, home of the Derby. It's famous for its extremely long home stretch, as designed particularly punishing for front runners like seiunsky. And even worse, when the race began, events unfolded in a way no one expected. The public pressure was piling high on King Halo's team. Therefore, one of the big three suddenly lost control and rushed to the front. The story of King King Halo is another great story to be told, but this forced other frontrunners like seiunsky to match the hot pace. In the end, both frontrunners burned out and sank into the pack, watching Special Week declare a dramatic victory, setting the stage for their decider in the final leg, Kikasho. Kyoto Racecourse, the gate opened. Seiunsky charges to the front, blazing through the first 1000 meters in 59.3 seconds, but this pace is insane. Kikasho is a grueling 3000 meter marathon. 59.3 is completely suicidal fast even for middle distance. No other jockeys dare to chase Seiunsky, but this is where things went interesting. In the second 1000 meters, Seiunsky jockey slowed down the pace dramatically to 64.3 seconds. This change of pace casted an illusion to other jockeys because even in long distance, such pace is like morning exercise, giving Seiunsky plenty of time to rest up the energy he spent in the beginning. By the time the field reached the final stage, Seiunsky still held a commanding lead and astonishingly began to accelerate again. It was only then that other teams realized they had all been tricked, but even with the field cam flying at the end, they can only witness seiunsky smashing the world record to become the double crown winner of the golden generation, never once as the betting favorite. Only then did people finally celebrate this inferior bred horse, one who had defied all doubt, shattered every assumption, and risen to the very peak of this generation. This race became the high point of Seiunsky, and in his next race, Seiunsky would finally become the betting favorite. Finally. If only the story had ended here. At Alimakine, Seiunsky was beaten by Grass Wonder, witnessing the phoenix rising from the ashes. The following year, after returning with a dominant win, Seiunsky entered the Tennosho Spring as the second favorite. But in the final stretch, Special Week surged past him once again, leaving Seiunsky in third place. In fact, during the Kikasho, when everyone had been caught off guard by Seiunsky's flawless strategy, Special Week's jockey Taki Yutaka was the first to sense that shift. This time, he would not make that same mistake, changing his usual tactic. Special Week shadowed Seiunsky throughout and ultimately had his revenge. When these two fated rivals met again, it was already fall. Tennosho Autumn. For the first time, Seiunsky finally stood as the favorite over Special Week. However, first favorite in Tennosho Autumn carried a curse. For 11 straight years, the betting favorite had never won a single time. Symboli Rudolph, Megalo McQueen, Ugly Cap, and many others, no matter how strong they were, how many times they challenged, they all fell to this invisible opponent, including the last year's favorite Silent Suzuka. And this time, the curse claimed Seiunsky as well. Beaten, injured, in front of him, Special Week swept past in a record-breaking style, seizing the Tennosho Spring-Autumn sweep. By then, who is the main character? Everyone had an answer. After the race, Nishiyama Farm announced Seiunsky would rest up to recover, and this rest would went on for a year and a half. When he finally returned, it's already the next century. Spring 2001, Kyoto Racecourse, the place where he had once shocked everyone. Seiunsky came back, but when he looked around others competing, there were no familiar faces. All the rivals who had defied his youth, Special Week, King Halo, El Condo Pasa, Grass Wonder, they all have retired. The gate opened, the race began. During his long rest, the team approached a famous writer. When Seiunsky returned, could you please write a book for him? I want him to be remembered. If he comes back, he will definitely become a great horse. When the race was over, a great champion was witnessed. The overlord of the centuries and TM overall, undefeated throughout the entire year of 2000, with 8 straight group victories. Even the curse of the Tennosho fall that beat many legends, including Seiunsky, had fallen before the unquestionable dominance of TM Opera. 16 seconds after TM Opera won, Seiunsky crossed the wire. 12th in the total of 12 horses. The river of time has passed him by. He's the last member of the glorious golden generation where none of his rivals finished their career with a victory, and neither did him. This is the last race of seiunsky. Till the end, Nishiyama didn't get to see seiunsky becoming the main character of his time. After the retirement, seiunsky and Nishino Flower stood as the Nishiyama farm's only two G1 champions. The owner Nishiyama treasured them like their own children. But seiunsky's bloodline was considered so poor, his stallion career drew very little interest. Special Week meanwhile flourished. In just 1 year, his foes outnumbered seiunsky could sire in his entire life. And on the personal blog of Nishiyama, the owner vented his frustration. Let's talk about the owner Nishiyama, who was a beloved horse owner by many fans. It's widely acknowledged that side games forbade not safe for work fan art of umamusume. This is to not anger their owners, but Nishiyama stunned everyone by declaring publicly on Twitter, "I allow it, because it will mean more people can remember my beloved horse." In fact, among the horse owners, where many were old-fashioned and stubborn at times, Nishiyama is very open-minded. When other games came seeking licensing right, he asked for only $50 per horse, just because there needed to be a price in the contract, not trying to profit at all, just wanted his horses to be remembered. And as time passed by, when no other farms approached seiunsky, Nishiyama made a shocking decision. He ordered Nishino Flower and seiunsky to be bred together. To industry experts, this decision is batshit madness. Not only these two horses had completely different aptitude. One thrives in long distance, one in short to mile distance. But also Nishino Flower was a highly prized brood mare, often paired with elite horses including Takishato. He was the horse to secure the farm's future. And on the other hand, seiunsky was a genetic dead end. The gulf between them was more immense than Aladdin. But the usually kind Nishiyama this time became stubborn and did it anyway. Their baby was born, 6 rays, 0 wing. On Nishiyama's blog he wrote, "To pass on the blood of my beloved seiunsky, I bred him with Nishino Flower. If his bloodline would have been preserved, the name of seiunsky might have been remembered in the future." But this horse could not run at all. Still, Nishiyama could not give up this madness. He bred this foal with the famous Agnes Takion, and from that came Nishino Milai. But Milai too retired, 0 wing. Even with Nishino Flower's blood paired with seiunsky, it still doesn't work. And yet Nishiyama persisted. Nishino Milai gave birth to Nishino Daisy. In 2022, Daisy captured a G1 victory. The very first and only G1 winner descended from seiunsky and Nishino Flower. When Daisy won the group stakes, Nishiyama wrote this down in his blog. The madness from 16 years ago had finally come to fruition. Many fans of seiunsky came to Sapporo racecourse, waving to Nishino Daisy. But to me, this is a bloodline born out of my own obsession. And by the way, in the game, seiunsky and Nishino Flower have the worst compatibility, just to show how crazy this pairing was in real life. Nishino Daisy. In Japanese, daisy is a kind of flower. The flower Nishino Flower was holding in this support card. The horse that carried the love of 2 horses and the memory of a man who could never let go. After seiunsky and Nishino Flower, Nishiyama Farm never again produced a horse of such brilliance. Eventually, the farm was sold off. 2011, seiunsky passed away. Nishiyama wrote this at his grave. "The lightning that raced across the azure sky, long rest." 2020, Nishino Flower passed away, rested beside seiunsky. The glory of Nishiyama Farm, the obsession of a single man. Seiunsky and Nishino Flower now rest here quietly together, beneath the seiunsky surrounded with flowers. 2024, to heal the regret of seiunsky's final race, Nishino Daisy closed her career with a victory. 2025, the global release of Umamusume, an SR support card appeared. It consisted of 2 characters, Nishino Flower and seiunsky, and the name of the support card is "To the Dearest You."